So, hi everyone. Today I have Spencer Nugent here with me, and I'm going to be interviewing him, and then we're going to talk about planned obsolescence at the end. So, hi Spencer. Thank you for joining us
Hi,
today.
Mia. Yeah, no problem. Thank you
Yeah,
for having me.
my pleasure. All right. So, we're going to start with a few questions. So, my first question for you is, what is your definition of design?
My definition of design. What is my definition? I think my definition of design, particularly as my career has progressed, is comprises of two things. One is a reminder that design is never about me, and design is really about closing the gap on the human experience, where there's a perceived need or realized need, and we serve to close that gap in terms of producing solutions. The other part of it is design is really about communication. So it's about listening to a client or business or someone else. Again, these two things work together and facilitating that communication using the tools we have. So whether that's messaging through a product or a process, I believe that design is not about ourselves and it's really just about communication.
Okay. Yeah, because I just recently finished university, and you hear a lot of these new design students. They're like, oh yeah, I started design because I really want to design some cool stuff for myself, and it is interesting to see someone with more
Yeah, I
experience.
mean, in some sense, design you can use design to facilitate artistic expression, but design itself as a discipline, in its true sense, is meant to serve others. You know,
Yeah.
we're service based industry function, and yeah, there is an aesthetic component oftentimes, particularly as you deal with physical artifacts and objects.
Mm.
Um, and even user interface or user experience stuff as well, but art in a sense, it serves to the other realization I had is design is boring. And hold on, I'll tell you what I mean by that. Design isn't necessarily meant to elicit, not meant to, not that it can't, but it's not meant to, in its primary function, elicit emotion and feeling
Uh-huh.
and be provocative, but
Mm-mm.
rather be functional and
Yeah.
performative in the context of someone's life. If I want art, I'll go get art.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The stuff I use doesn't need to be art,
Mm-hmm.
even though at times we may find ourselves aligning with the expression that's inherent to a product. But it's a little maxim that I kind of happen on. Design is meant to be boring, and that's not to say it's not meant to be well
Yeah.
executed or appealing in some sense, but
Mm-mm-mm.
certainly not evocative like art. So it's interesting students say that.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, not all of them, but yeah, I've heard a few people like, oh yeah, I've always like wanted. There was always something missing in my life, and now I'm gonna make it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So about your career, can you tell us a little bit more about how you came to where you are now, and I mean, maybe the big pillars of your career.
All right. Yeah. So I started out in school doing hard sciences, math, physics, computer science. Met someone who was doing industrial design and decided to try it out, and I liked it. So applied myself, worked real hard, landed my first internship with Astro Studios. We're going way back in history here, and eventually ended up working with Astro Studios. Did an
Okay.
internship with General Motors as well,
Oh well.
and so I worked in a consultancy at Astro in San Francisco for 2 years, and then the recession happened. Started my own business with a former coworker at Astro
Okay.
called Studio T minus. We did that for about 5 years, and I then we parted ways. We just felt it was the right time to move on to different things. So he left for GoPro. I went to a small startup that then got acquired by a smart home company. So I
Okay.
ended up in the corporate world working for about almost 6 years.
All right.
And in 2019, decided to just be an independent creative. So this is my first time being fully independent as a creative. And I use the word creative specifically as I do a lot more than just industrial design now. Education certainly a factor there. I still do design projects. I'm going to be working on a few today,
All
and
right.
still enjoy that. But I also try to make space for other artistic expressions or product projects,
Mm-hmm.
things like making music or furniture or
Oh,
photography
okay.
that may not necessarily align specifically with industrial design.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right.